Welcome to the Dental Jobs Diaries podcast, in association with dentaljobs.com, a leading job board for dental professionals. Please sit back and relax and listen to some of the thought leaders across the dentistry sector.
Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Dental Jobs Diaries, introduced by dentaljobs.com, and I am here excited to present another episode. Today I have Dr. Rebecca Reed with me, and I'm going to go through some of her background and history, and we have some exciting news to share from her as well. Hello, Dr. Reed, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. You well?
I'm very well, yes, thank you. And whereabouts are you based in the world?
So I'm currently in sunny 21-degree Glasgow at the moment.
Oh my word. A bit of a novelty.
Here, I think, yeah.
So, and you work for Clyde Munro, correct?
Yes, I do. I'm an associate dentist. I'm practicing in the city centre of Glasgow.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about your background. What first interested you in dentistry?
So I'd always been interested in sort of science and art and things. And I used to work a lot with clothes. I used to do a lot of tailoring. And I came across a dentist when I was about 19, 20. And he owned a dental practice. And he had said, look, you know, you'd be really good. You're good with your hands if you thought about dentistry. Took me up for an interview, handed in my resignation the week later to the shop. Started off as a receptionist in this, not too far from where I actually practice just now. It's a stone throw, about half a mile if that. And I quickly decided that the clinical side of things excited me more than the admin side.
Yeah.
So we looked to see what courses we could get me on. At school, I'd never thought about being a dentist, so I didn't have the credentials really to just apply and get in. So I started off and I gained my qualification to be a dental technician. So that took me 2 years in Edinburgh. I worked as a lab technician in plaster room, making the products that I now fit onto my patients. And then I decided that wasn't quite enough as well. And I wanted to be a bit more clinical and deal with the patients face to face as opposed to, you know, just seeing a model. At that time, digital dentistry wasn't really a thing. So then I applied for dentistry and I got told, look, you don't have the grades to get in. So you're going to have to go to night school, get a bit more science background behind you. So I did that. And then I got in to be a hygiene therapist. So I got into oral health sciences and I studied in Dundee for 3 years. And I became a hygiene therapist for 6 years. And then I decided, you know what? Still just not enough. I'm still want a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I applied to dentistry at that point, having done really well and getting a good mark in my therapy degree. And I got in. And I was part of the COVID cohort. And that was, I graduated in 2023 in Aberdeen and then came back home to Glasgow.
Well, that's great. Congratulations.
So, yeah, it's quite an unusual pathway. I don't think I know anyone else has quite done it that way, but it was really difficult. It was really hard. There was a lot of hiccups along the way. And I think now I'm at the other side of it, albeit a little bit older, definitely wouldn't do it any other way. I don't think some of the conversations that I have on a day-to-day basis with patients, particularly maybe more difficult ones, that I could have had when I was maybe 22.
Yeah.
Whereas now a little bit of life experience has taught me not to blink at these things. So, and I think my patients appreciate that as well. And certainly the other members of my team, you know, the labs that I use, the nurses I work with, reception desk, they all appreciate because I appreciate their side of things also. So it's quite nice. I quite like it.
Yeah, I mean that's quite fascinating. You had experience in both the manufacturing side and the materials and stuff, as well as the dental therapy. So, and you blended those together.
Sometimes because if something goes wrong, they can say, "Oh, well, it was your fault." I go, "Well, no, actually, it was your fault." Do you know how I know? Because I used to do it.
Yeah, right. So you must have a good network as well to go back to and communicate with and keeps you.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. A lot of dentistry, you know, the dentistry world's super small. And I would say, you know, they say 6 degrees of separation. I would say it's more like 1 or 2 with dentistry. We're a super small cohort of individuals. And I love the little network that we've got. I think it's really important to have people that you know you can rely on, both, job wise, but also support wise as well, and mentorship.
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course.
And I strive to do a little bit of both on both ends. I heavily lean on my senior colleagues that I work on, but I also like to support the younger ones I work with as well.
So what do you think were the biggest challenges you faced during your sort of journey into, it sounds like you made some crunch decisions and you set about them and you made some life decisions, really. So what were the biggest challenges you faced over that period of time?
I think, getting up and moving your life around. I was lucky that I managed to keep it in Scotland, but moving around and not settling in one place until you're satisfied is quite difficult.
Yeah.
I've got a
Yeah.
really supportive fiance, and anyone who knows me will know him because we've been together for 15 years, and they will know that he's moved around Scotland with me, supporting me. So that was really helpful. I think there's a lot of failure in dentistry that no one really sets you up for. We're
Yeah.
quite a group. We're a group of individuals who are quite tough on ourselves. We're very over analytical and self-critical, and I think there's a big stigma with not giving yourself enough credit for when you do well. So I think when there is a lot of rejection, and that could be daily, so in some
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ways, I think we are quite quick to take it on board ourselves and not share.
Mm.
So I think my early years, I took a lot of the rejection quite personal. Now it's made me really self-reflective and a better clinician, but I don't think anyone really sets you up for that. There's certainly a lot of advocates. There's a fantastic charity, the Canmore Trust, that's set up by a dentist who does a lot of work with young dentists and vets and medics and things. None of that was really around when I was starting in my early years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was quite lonely at the start.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be interesting to share some of those resources that you found that were helpful, and we could actually post those as well for our listeners, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'm quite I like to share quite a lot on my social media, more so my stories than my grid. I am getting better, but time.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, I'm more than happy to make a little list and things, and almost if I could go back 10 years, what would I have wanted to know almost?
Yeah.
So yeah, more than happy to do that.
And regarding those kind of, especially your partner sort of sticking with you throughout that journey, I know firsthand. I've moved countries, and my wife stuck with me the whole way. It's really important to have that level of support.
Yeah, I think someone out with dentistry as well, who
Yeah.
can see things from a slightly different perspective. It's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
I was super lucky to do both my therapy degree and my dentistry degree with one of my best friends. We became best friends in Dundee in our therapy degree. So, and she's now a dentist and she practices in Edinburgh. And I think having her alongside things, just to bounce things off of, was a
Yeah.
huge comfort blanket for each other.
Yeah.
We were the COVID cohort for dentists, so that had its other challenges as well. The all Scottish dentists had to repeat a year during COVID, so I think that threw everything up in arms as well, especially for those of us who weren't in our early 20s and just were eager to get out into the world. So yeah, but I think dentistry daily is full of challenges, and I think the sooner you realise that, the easier it becomes, because you just have to reflect and find a way around it.
What other challenges did COVID throw in your way as well?
Oh my goodness, what did it not have? It was quite sudden for us. I can't speak for. I know every dental school had slightly different rules, but certainly being quite up in the north, we were super isolated, and it really happened overnight. I think rules changed. If anyone can remember way back, it seems like an eternity ago now.
I know,
But
doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
of
Yeah.
potentially looking to move into the next year, to exams went online. The teaching staff had to come up with new functions and new formats to have us be able to sit exams. We couldn't see patients. I was quite fortunate that, because when I was studying dentistry, I had my hygiene therapy background,
Yeah.
and I worked as a hygiene therapist throughout my degree. So I still managed to dip my toes in and keep my skills up. But I think it was the more return, having had pretty much 18 months of non-clinical for a lot of people, learning how to use your hands again and just
Yeah.
learning to speak to people and get used to things because everyone had a different opinion and different rules. So,
Yeah.
and even now, I'm still dealing with patients who haven't been in since before COVID, and it's mad. It's
Wow. Yeah, it was crazy times. That obviously impacted us. It does seem like a long time back, and luckily it's behind us, and hopefully we won't ever have to come across anything like that again. Fingers crossed. So, on to more exciting and interesting and happy news. So, you have some news to share with us about your recent nomination.
I do. I'm. This took me as a little bit of a surprise, to be fair. Yeah, young dentist finalists of
Young
Scotland.
Dentist of the Year finalist. Absolutely.
Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of my peers when I was younger win these awards and even, be finalists for these awards. And I always remember thinking, oh God, that'd be great to get the recognition or,
Yeah.
how am I ever going to be, and it's everything combined and it's just a recognition status, which is amazing. But I'm not a fresh clinician, but being quite a fresh dentist, didn't think there would be any way that I would make it into that top 10. Here we are. So listen, yeah, I think if I could say to little old me 10 years ago who wasn't, no dental school would look at me, never mind into where we are now, hard work definitely pays off.
Yeah, and I think that's coming out of what you're telling us here is obviously that work and that determination and your decision making as well, and almost a risk taking kind of background, I think, is what's driven you to that. How did you feel when you first heard the news?
Well, to be fair, it was actually a fellow finalist who I went to university with that had messaged me to say, oh, congratulations.
Ah,
He, so he must have got the email first.
yeah,
And I said, I was between patients, and I said, what do you mean? How do you know? He sent me the list, he sent me the email, and that was fine. And he did really well last year, and he's renominated and finalist again this year. So it was quite nice and quite,
that's
have
brilliant.
a friendly
Yeah,
face things in there. But they send you a lovely email, and you have to do an application and a full presentation. You have to put a little bit of work, well, a lot of work into it, and put forward your sort of best and worst clinical cases and things. So I think when you're working in a surgery that's by yourself, and you're in your own head, you see a lot on Instagram as well, and you think, oh gosh, I'm nowhere near that level. And then, they actually get the recognition to say, well, actually, we think, you're all right, which is quite nice. So
yeah, that's absolutely brilliant.
little Glaswegian girl, though, doesn't like to take a compliment. So
A wee Glaswegian girl. Aye,
yeah, I said, are you sure? Are you sure
yeah,
there's not two?
yeah. Are you joshing me? I know. What advice could you give, young people starting out in their dental career to sort of help them drive towards that? I mean, is it about a sort of mental capacity or physical capacity to deal with the things, or determination, or all of the above?
You know what? I'm in awe of some of the elite dentists that practice out there and have time to do everything that comes with being out with a dentist, being a family member, a parent, a sibling, an athlete, a baker, everything. So I think we are a lovely group of people that are quite hard on ourselves, but you need to be resilient. You need to be quite certain of yourself in a mental way, mental capacity. You need to be able to accept criticism, pick yourself back up when there's a bit of failure, not take yourself too seriously, which might sound controversial, but if any of my patients are listening to this, well,
Yeah,
99% of them,
yeah,
they
they
will know.
will. They will.
Generally, my motto is feeling relaxed, and I'll read
Yeah,
the room. If someone it doesn't want a bit of banter, then they won't get it. But
yeah,
my secretary and my nurse are quite, dare I say, we're quite funny and we're quite chilled and relaxed, and we like to have a good time. And I think that's really important because you need to find someone that you can lean on. Certainly, if I was starting out, I'm so lucky to have the mentors that I had when I was a young aspiring clinician before even, set foot in a dental surgery. But I would say if you're considering a career in dentistry, get a little bit of exposure to all aspects of practice first,
right.
because I don't think I had any idea what I was getting myself in for. And it just so happens that I adore it. I wouldn't do anything else. And I happen maybe sometimes on the odd foot to be okay at it. But if you're neither of those, you'll hate it and you won't
Yeah.
enjoy it and it'll become a chore. And I would hate, and I would hate to think that anyone that I work with feels that way because it's so hard. Dealing with the general public is hard,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
anywhere.
I think that goes across many areas of business and practice as well.
Yeah.
So how does your role at Clyde Monroe help with your goals here and your activities?
Do you know, they've been great. I'm so fortunate that the team that I work with, most of them, or if not some of them, I've worked with in a past life, being a hygiene therapist or
Right.
been in
Right.
other practices and things as well. So we all on the offset had a really good relationship. But I think working for, I think it's the largest corporate. I could be wrong. The largest corporate in Scotland. The people are always going to have an opinion.
Pretty sure it is. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, like any job, people are always going to have an opinion. And I think unless you really can back up that opinion with experience, then it's just words, really. Anyone that works with me will probably laugh because I'm not a quiet clinician. I'm not shy. If I want
Yeah.
something, I'll ask for it. And
Yeah.
if I'm told no, then that's fine. But I want to know why, or I want to explain, look, I've got this idea. It's going to be good for my patient. It's going to make, things easier for everyone. It's going to be quicker. It's going to potentially earn us a bit more money, or it's going to be better because it's going to last longer. Anything.
Yeah.
And I think Clyde Monroe are really good at being able to just say yes to these things because of that environment without, saying, oh, well, no, you'll have to wait or you'll have to do this. And, they've got loads of courses and they've got training facilities and just an intranet or a group of clinicians that you can all get together. And that's really nice as well. Out
Hmm.
with your practice, there's a lot of support. The VT, so I didn't do my initial foundation training with Clyde Monroe, but I know that they've got a VT foundation course thing that they run. So they do a couple of days a year for their dentists in training.
All right.
And then for the post VT year, which I was a part of, they also have a similar thing, but a little bit more tailored to what you might be more interested in. So there's a lot of support, which is really good. And I don't think that working elsewhere would have necessarily fast-tracked me and been able to have such clinical freedom.
Yeah.
I'm doing things that I honestly didn't dream that I would be doing in my first year out of VT. And I love it.
Yeah.
I really quickly learned what dentistry I enjoy doing and what dentistry I don't as well. And I think that'll continue to grow, but sometimes that takes people 5-10 years.
Yes.
And have given me that opportunity to just do as I wish, as I please, and and be the clinician I want to be. And so I'm quite quickly turning into that, which is really, really nice as well. And it makes me happy.
Oh, that sounds phenomenal. Tell us, are there any mentorship opportunities or training programs, etc., in Clyde Monroe at the moment that you found invaluable?
They sent us on a course a couple of months ago.
I believe there's something called the Flying Start. Is that correct?
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was a VT one or not. But yes, there's a Flying Start program. And that they sent us to Germany, they sent us around. I'm a little bit of a geek when it comes to things like science-based dentistry, which I never thought I would ever hear myself say, to be honest. And I think at university, and I need to be careful here because he might be listening, but my dental materials lecturer at uni was
Yeah.
great. He was fab. So knowledgeable. In fact, we had two, but they're actually best friends. So it's fine. That neither of them will mind. And I think at the time, you don't know what you don't know. So you're learning about things and you think, oh my God, I'm trying to put this into application. Now I love it. I love the digital and the science-based
Yeah.
things. They took
Yeah.
us to Germany on this Flying Start program and they showed us all the new technology and the bits and pieces that are coming out. And they showed us around, and that was really, really good. And I think most people that go to places like this think, oh my goodness, especially if you're just out of foundation year, you think, well, I'm not going to be using any of this technology for X amount of years. And obviously I come home and I'm like, well, I want one.
And there it is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I use it every single day. Every day. It is fantastic. And that's given me a great opportunity. And then the Flying Start program also had a couple of other courses here or there. There was one with John Gibson, who runs the Canmore Trust charity, as I was talking about earlier. And he was talking about mental health and suicide in dentistry, which I think is very important. And that was potentially releasing a little bit of a stigma on a subject that people might not know that it's okay to talk about.
Yeah.
The mentor that I had back that owned the practice way back at the beginning when I spoke about my journey, he died by suicide. And I always remember thinking for years, oh, I can't talk about this. It's awful. There's no way. And then John has opened up a world of dentists who know so many people who have died by suicide to make it say, guys, it's absolutely fine to talk about this. And that's what's made him, start this charity. And he has changed so many lives, not just dentists, medics, so many people. So that was a really important talk, I think, to get people in their early careers to start out with. And I think if I'd had something like that when I started, it might have made my mental health journey a little bit easier along the way as well. And then they do a lot of things. They did a Jason Smithson program. It was a taster session on composites and things. So which then got me a little bit interested. So about a fortnight ago, I went on his full weekend course from the back of that, which was incredible. So yeah, I mean, I think everything that they've done is really, really tailored to what you're doing at that stage, and then allows you a little snippet of you could be interested in this, you can be interested in this, and then allows you to make your decision of, no, I hate that, it's not for me, or yeah, I want to learn a wee bit more about that. And that's it's all included, it's free, so that in itself is great when you're a young dentist. And I think there's a misconception that we're all absolutely rolling in it at that stage, and you're not. And any free CPD and courses that will benefit you at that stage are an added. So it's great.
I think that's an interesting factor. It takes a long journey to get to that point where you're comfortable, as far as, just in the career itself, right? And as well as the earning capacity, but everything about it is a journey and a challenge. So you mentioned about Clyde Monroe support and the culture there, but how do you think Clyde Monroe specifically fosters growth and allows young dentists to thrive, such as yourself?
Okay, I mean, listen, the team's good. There's a big support network everywhere, and it's just good to have a big network of people, I think, who are non-judgmental, and you can go to different people for different things. It's a good network. It's a good corporate to work with. Anyone who knows me, I'm so straight up, and if I wasn't happy and I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't still be there.
So you mentioned about digital dentistry. What aspects of dentistry are you most passionate about, you feel right now?
I just love it. I love digital dentistry. It's an area of dentistry that is almost still a bit of a novelty.
Expand on what it actually encompasses. Tell the listeners a little bit about it.
So basically, I mean, in an ideal world, I would do everything digital, but I still work in an NHS practice where things need to be a little bit more fast paced, and you don't always have the luxury of time. But the aspect of digital dentistry is essentially to try and be a little bit more environmentally friendly, first and foremost, because I use a lot of it for education. So simple things, we've got an intraoral scanner, intraoral camera, quick snip, quick snap. And then when a patient can understand and they can see their mouth on your laptop screen next to them, and you can zoom in, zoom out, draw on them and show them, that in itself is so good for education and things. Because how often have we been to the dentist and we've heard these numbers and it's like a game of battleships and you don't know what's happened, and they go, okay, bye, we'll see you in 6 months. What's that doing for anyone?
Yeah.
As if you can say, look, you need a filling, or you need this, you need that. And it's kind of like when I take my car to the garage and the mechanics go, you need this. And I go, do I? Are you sure? It's the same aspect.
It's much more engaging. It's much more engaging when you've got that visual aspect to it and that explanation behind it. Yeah.
Well, if I can blow the patient's mouth up on the laptop and say, well, look, this is why you need it. Explain the pros and the cons. And at the end of the day, my style of dentistry, my patients will attest to this, is I will give you all your options, and I will tell you the risks and the benefits, and I will send you the quotes for everything. You pick what one is right for you.
Right.
I'm not a white coat clinician. It's not my style at all. And quite often, if we've got a good relationship, I'll say, well, because see if it's the wrong one, it's not my fault. I'll advise you. I'll advise you what I think is right, and I'm allowed to tell you, the pros and the cons. And if it were my tooth, what would I do? But
Yeah.
you have to really take into consideration all your patients,
Right.
wishes, financial situations, and time, and everything.
Yeah.
But the things that just excite me about digital dentistry, just record keeping in general. If you've got a digital scan of someone, and the classic story is, patient comes to you, they've been out, I was going to say playing sports, but let's keep it Glaswegian. They've been out in the lash on a Saturday night. With the pavement. The
They've
pavement's
been
one.
suffering. Yeah, they're suffering the whole weekend. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, come in, tail between legs on a Monday morning,
Yeah.
and half a tooth or half a face, whatever. Can't fix faces, just teeth. So you pull up that digital scan that you took 6 months ago, and you say, well, do you know what? I can give you back what you had. We don't need
Brilliant.
to guess. We
Yeah.
don't need to recreate. We can give you back what you had, bar
Yeah.
your dignity. But
Yeah.
it's so good, and it's good for education, and it's quick. It's really good for me. I love, for example, if we're doing a veneer case or we're doing a crown case, and I do all my NHS and all my private work digitally as well. I do not discriminate between patients. I don't, just separate
Yeah.
because one's fancier than the other, and one patient's. I don't. You scan what you've prepared before you put your temporary on, and that gets sent to the lab. So there's no lab boys, girls, women, men driving in, driving out. We're in an LEZ zone as well in our practice, right? So environmental thing. And it's easy, it's digital. The lab gets it, the file's there, they 3D print it, they build on top of it, and then they send it back to you. And my experience, albeit it's only maybe been about 8 months that I've properly been using digital dentistry every day, is that the fit of these things that come back, it's like a glove.
Yeah.
It is like a glove. And then you have a 3D printed model, and you store them, and it's nicer and it's kinder, as opposed to storing all the stone and plaster and things that chip
That's
and
brilliant.
knock.
Yeah.
And it's just such a lovely way of working, and patients love it, because sometimes, if I haven't been the best at communicating with them, and I take the scan and they go, right, when's the impression? I go, that was it. And they
Well,
go,
sometimes they might not be a listening kind of person. They might be a visual person, and they might be a feel person, and that really explains it to them very well.
yeah, it's great. I would never go back. And I really utilize our hygiene therapists and TCOs in the practice, where if a patient's coming in and they want a bit of education, or they want, they're interested in straightening their teeth or something like that, then I'll ask them to use it, because I think I would have loved that 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It's such a great tool to have. It's bloody expensive, but it's so worthwhile.
Yeah.
Patients, I love it. It makes me happier. It does. It makes my day so much more enjoyable, and my nurses, I think, as well. So yeah.
It sounds like it. It really sounds like it. Now, this next question might be a little bit of a loaded one. What does your typical day look like, and perhaps your typical week? Is there such a thing?
For me, every day's different, obviously. I learned quite quickly, way before I was even a practicing clinician, throughout my admin days, that it's really important to zone a diary. So a day for me where I see 40 patients with checkups is going to be me staying in the practice until 10 o'clock at night doing paperwork, being sick of the sound of my own voice by probably about half the day. I'm a nurse. And probably not giving the patients past 11 o'clock a proper consult. So for me, I just don't do days like that. I like my days to be a mixture of consults, treatment, active treatment, education, So I like to zone my diary, but it could be anything from, simple things to consultations. I think a lot of the time as well, I don't know if this is just the questions that I ask or just the type of person that I am, but a lot of the time as a dentist, you're also being, when I say therapist, I don't mean hygiene therapist, you're being like a shrink to patients. Because the healthcare doctors, I need to be careful here, right? Because not all doctors, but the NHS system of healthcare is a little bit conveyor belty in and outy, right? Please don't anyone at me for saying that. It's just experiences that we've had, and I know. And you don't have time to sit and ask your patients. Whereas I just do. I add an extra 5-10 minutes on to my checkups, and just because I care. And I think I'm still, I've not been at this practice for a year yet. I'm still getting to know patients, and I'm still meeting some of them for the first time. So if it gives me and my nurse a bit of breather space to do an NHS checkup in 30 minutes, then I take it. I don't care. Some dentists would be fine with that,
I think you're removing the sterility from that conversation as well. You're making a conversation and a connection with your patient,
Yeah. My voice gets a little bit higher the more stressed I get. So by 4 o'clock, if I'm running an hour late, the hives start coming out and the voice gets higher. And but it could be anything. I always try at least once or twice a week to have some form of digital dentistry in there, whether it's a fit or a prep and a scan. But I'm finding that every day I normally use it now for active treatment. But because I'm still an active NHS dentist, it could be anything: checkups, dentures, crowns, gum disease, bridges, veneers, whitening, smiles, anything. So yeah.
Do you see yourself getting involved in training other people or any of your staff there, or are you already involved in that?
I've always been quite on board with sharing my knowledge, and I'm not a gatekeeper, so I love that aspect of things, and I do a lot of it on my social media, where I will share unapologetically unedited photos of things that just go wrong, or things that perhaps 6 years ago I thought that looks incredible, and actually now I look at it, I go, who did that?
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, and I'm so in a comfortable position with myself now, and I quite often use the phrase on my Instagram, always unapologetically be your number one fan, because you have to. I think if you're not happy with who you are and what you're doing, then no one's going to be. So I'm always happy to share tips and tricks and bits and bobs. And I've sat with my hygiene therapists and gone over silly little tricks that I've learned on courses or just along the way, or bits and bobs. And I think they're well received. So yeah.
I'm sure they are. Are there any areas specifically that you were looking to in dentistry to specialize in or further develop as you go? Is there anything upcoming that you're looking to get involved in?
I think specialize is a strong word for me.
Yes.
Specializing in dentistry comes associated with academics, and that's not something I see myself going down the journey of. But the phrase special interest, I think, was created for those like me who would like to do that type of dentistry but not specialize in it with the academic side of things. So I love restorative dentistry, and that means that could be something really from a simple filling to full mouth crowns or something. And for lack of judgment, for starting at my dental career early, or starting this type of work early, I think I'm quite open and honest with my patients of where I am in my career, and if they choose to go on that journey with me for a big case, then I obviously feel comfortable with it. I have the proper mentorship, but we do it together. And the cases that we've done in the restorative side of things have excited me. The cliche, oh, you changed my life, all that stuff. And that could be one filling. It could be one filling, could be a veneer, it could be 18 crowns, and I've done both recently and got the same reaction. And so I love that. But I've always said I want to teach. And now that I'm out of dental school, I can say this because I've come across some fantastic teachers, but I've also come across some horrors who you think, why are you teaching? You don't want to be here. And I remember as a student sitting thinking, I would be better staring at a blank wall than sitting in this right now. And I still have that fire and that passion, and I'd love to be the type of teacher that sometimes I maybe would have wanted. So I think I do see myself expanding my knowledge with restorative dentistry and general practice, because I love seeing every type of patient as well, and also potentially teaching, whether that's in a hospital environment or through courses. I'm not sure yet, but
Yeah, I mean, I think with your personality and your passion in this, I think it would be great to see you up there presenting to people and teaching people because, it does help when people are learning from somebody like you because they get it sort of rubs off on them, So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
I,
think
I,
it's
I I enjoy public speaking. I enjoy presenting. It's part of dentistry and just part of my general personality that I do like to do. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Watch this space.
So this is a little bit of a repeat, but since we've talked a little bit since it came up, but on the advice side for young dentists, what would you give them as some bullet points to think of as they're starting their career out?
I think first and foremost, choose wisely. You have to know your why, and your why has to be for you.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people along the way who, even my age, who are no longer dentists because their why was not for them or they didn't know. And when they actually got into it, they were like, "Oh, okay, this is not for me, or this isn't what I expected it to be."
yeah,
Um, Lean on people. My door's always open. It doesn't matter who you are, what advice you've given. I was still in dental school helping people write their CVs for dental school. And their personal statements and helping them do their UK cats. My door is always open and I will always help in any way that I can. But having a good mentor or a good aspirational person, not not a TikTok dentist, someone you know who it's fine to have all these people out there that you think, oh my God, that's amazing and I want to do work like them. But knowing the realistic side of things first,
yeah,
getting your foot in the door with work experience in all these environments and figuring out if it's actually what you want to do. If dentistry is not glamorous. I tell you, it is really not. Making it look glamorous is hard,
yeah,
but it's not. You're covered in spit, you're sweating, you're stressing, you've got a million things on your mind, you've got paperwork coming out your ears.
yeah,
You want to make sure that you're home in time. So I think knowing what you get into, knowing that why you want to do it is for the right reasons and not for you. I come from a really, really rough upbringing in Glasgow. I went to a fantastic school. My mum did me really dearly, but I come from one of the roughest areas in Glasgow. And I had a kid that wanted to do dentistry once come to me and say, yeah, I want to be like you. I want to be a dentist. So I'm like, if you want to earn money on this career, if money is your driver, it won't get you anywhere. I
yeah,
promise it just won't.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, okay, I've done all right for myself, but I've started with nothing and no one's helped me.
yeah,
And that's because I love what I do. I have such a passion for it.
yeah,
I get 100% of me every day, regardless of what's going on in my personal life or what's
yeah,
happening outside. I thrive off of making my patients happy and making them do well and just striving to do better every day. And that's my why just now.
yeah,
It may
yeah.
change, but it's always for me. So is
Funny you
that
should mention that. My son-in-law is identical to that. Yeah, it's absolutely what drives him is making his patients happy. Yeah.
So I think if you're doing it for the right reasons, the rest will all fall into place. But don't do it because your friend's doing it or because your mum did it or your dad did it or someone said it would pay you well. That's
Yeah.
not the right why.
Right. So, drawing close to the end of our podcast here, I want to get into, the Dr. Rebecca Reed, remove the doctor hat for a minute, and how do you balance your career versus personal life? That can be challenging. What do you use for some of the strategies to keep a healthy work-life balance?
I am learning to do better. I'm learning to try new things, to try not stay at work an hour, 2 hours after, and email my patients their treatment plans of all the options that I've given them, rather than just saying, just get this crown and this is how much it is and let's do it, which probably would work half the time. But like I said, it's just not my style. I think moving is super important. We sit in the same position for potentially 7 to 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
and having a regime, and I'm now early 30s, so I can say this because I'm starting to get older and feel it. I think in my 20s, I thought I could sit in this position and it would never affect me, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it does, and it catches up with you fairly quickly. So whether it's exercise, whether it's walking, I'm an avid spin goer. fact, actually, I think a lot of people that know me would know that if I wasn't a dentist, I'd probably be a spin instructor. I love it. So just moving or
Yeah,
getting out, you can't
yeah,
always do that in the Glasgow weather. So whether it's stretching, a physio, something, having that is really important for both body but also mind. And having a good network of just good people around you. You know, I've
yeah.
got a really good group of friends. I've got a really good fiance. My family are super supportive, you know, and just having a bit of fun. I like to travel. I like to drink wine. Have
Yeah.
a good balance and just remember that you're a person as well as a professional. Yes, okay, we have to be professionals out with work as well, but you know, I think don't take your work home with you too much. And I'm learning not to do that as well. But yeah, I think I don't know. It's hard. It's difficult. There's not one answer for everyone, I don't think. But
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
quote
But
unquote, yeah, don't be married to the job.
I mean, I know part of your answer here for how do you recharge? Is it, I mean, you sound like you've got a lot of passion in your work. And so that kind of recharges you to some degree, just getting back into it. But
Um,
maybe elaborate a little bit on how you go about that relaxation and recharging.
yeah, I mean, I started off working Monday to Friday and a little bit on weekends as well. And I quickly realized after about month 4 that I was going home and I was falling asleep in my clothes.
Yeah.
And as a workaholic, it took my other half to say, no, this is not on. You can't because you don't have a life Monday to Friday, and then you spend Saturday, Sunday recharging. So I made the unanimous decision to drop my Friday clinically, and I do a little bit of teaching. I do a little bit of my admin, a little bit of my social media. So I'm still working, but I'm not, my head isn't in a mouth. My body's getting a bit of a rest, and I'm working on my self-development and where I want to go and where I want to be. And that's been a godsend for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but I think 4-day week, 3-day weekend per se
Hmm.
has
Keeps
been
you
an
going.
absolute godsend for me. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
don't burn out anymore for that. But other than that, I think everyone's slightly different. I know
Yeah.
dentists that can leave at 5 o'clock. They have no worries and they can work Monday to Friday, no problem at all. Go
Yeah.
home, be mums, be dads, go out, be athletes, climb Munros, come back, get sloshed on a Saturday night, and then be ready to go to work on a Monday. That just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I time. So yeah, I think but not being scared to say, oh, this is not working. We need to
Yeah.
try and change it. I think it's
Enough is
important.
enough kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Yeah. So do you have any animals, pets? Do you have any pastimes and skills apart from your spin?
Oh, but okay. So my dog is my child,
Oh,
and he
what
has
kind
his.
of dog?
So he's a Chihuahua.
Oh,
I actually have 3, but my mum has 2 of them because I grew up with them, so she wouldn't give me them when I moved out. She said, no, no, they live here. So then we ended up with Max, who is he's almost a child. You know, when you have 2 children, you think they're angels. And then you have the third, you go, okay, we should have stopped here.
yeah, yeah.
That's Max. And
Ah,
he's anyone that knows me will know him. He's an absolute terror, but he's a joy to be around. He's
yeah.
the tiniest wee tri-coloured chihuahua
Oh,
personality. And he's a godsend. He keeps me going. He's such a good wee boy.
oh, that's lovely to come home to. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, he's good fun and unapologetically love. You know what is it they say? Unconditional love. Sorry,
yeah,
unconditional
yeah.
love. Yeah, you could go out for 2 minutes, come back, and they're the happiest things in the world.
Oh, it's
It will
lovely.
not be like that. It's the
Yeah,
just the best thing ever. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, he's my baby, and we do dress him up, and we do have his social media for
Oh
him.
my God.
Yeah, I don't have much time for it anymore, but his birthday is around Halloween. That's all I'll say.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we used to have a miniature dachshund we did the same thing with.
Oh, I know. How sassy are they though?
Oh yeah,
And yeah, little man
yeah,
personality. Wee
yeah.
man said, as we call it in Glasgow.
So any last thoughts on your career or your Clyde Monroe experiences or just, Dr. Rebecca Reed?
I mean, I'm just excited.
Great.
You asked me 10 years ago when I got my first rejection, or 12 years ago when I got my first rejection from dental school, that I'd be in this position now. I couldn't have imagined it, couldn't have dreamt it. And I'm just so excited.
That's
I'm so
great.
excited to be early in my career, but also with a little bit of knowledge to share. And I think just knowing the kind of person I am, the world is my oyster, and
I was just going to say the same
so
thing, Rebecca. Yeah,
it
yeah,
could be anything. I
yeah,
really don't know where my journey is going to take me,
yeah.
but I'm sure whatever happens will be the right one. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, congratulations and definitely good luck. I think you've got the right personality and you've definitely got the right skill set and company you're working with. So, yeah,
Thank you.
enjoy.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much. Pleasure.